Hello again, everybody. Travis Big League Berardi coming to you from OH Report World Headquarters in Mansfield, Ohio, with another edition of the area football stat leaders, the top 10 passing, rushing, and receiving leaders from all around the area. And might I add, happy hockey season, everybody. The first official day of the NHL season kicks off today, and especially for you Cleveland Guardians fans, since they can't hit a ball with runners in scoring position. Yikes. We'll talk more about the Guardians and all that debacle on Monday after they're eliminated tomorrow because, like I said, they can't hit the baseball. But we're here for football. We're here for the stat leaders through Week 7, so let's get right to that, and we'll start with our top passing leaders through 7 weeks. And Braden DeVito, state-ranked Shelby Whippets, 94 completions, 1,754 yards, 14 touchdowns. He leads the way. Chase Ebert right behind him at 1,739 yards and 16 touchdowns. Nicholas Parks, who was leading through Week 5 and 6, drops down just a little bit, but he's still within striking distance. He's at 1,700 yards even with 19 touchdowns. Nathan Bernhard of the undefeated Ashland Arrows, 1,557, 14 touchdowns. A.J. Bauer Northmore going back up the ranks of the top 10. He's now 5th, 1,434 yards after his 13 for 13 performance with 4 touchdowns against East Knox. He has 19 total touchdowns on the season. That's second best, tied with Nicholas Parks in the area. Highlands Colton Stover, even at 1,400 passing yards. Hayden Keith of Western Reserve at 1,373. Hillsdale's Cale Lewis, they're undefeated. He's got 1,343 passing yards on 81 completions. Mohawk's Ben Bogner, the leaders in the Northern 10. He's at 1,321 yards and 20 touchdowns. Those do lead the area in touchdown passes. So Ben Bogner doing it for the Warriors this year. Only one loss, and that was in the non-conference schedule. And West Holmes, welcome to the top 10. Morgan Smith. Do want to shout out the folks down at West Holmes. I mentioned it the last 2 weeks. If you don't see one of your players on the top 10 and think they should be, it's probably because I don't have your stats. Well, West Holmes sent me the stats this week, and Morgan Smith will slip in right there at number 10. So welcome to the top 10, Mr. Smith, and thank you very much once again to West Holmes. Like I said, anybody that wants to send their stats to me because you think you have somebody, send it right here. Travis at OH Report, and I will make sure that you're in there, your player's in there if they are deserving. Now to the guys that catch those passes and make these quarterbacks look so good. The receiving leaders, the top 10 through Week 7. Taylor Young of Seneca East still leads the way. He has 795 receiving yards on 47 catches and 10 touchdowns. Kane Heyman stays at the number 2 spot, 656 receiving yards on 35 catches. That's just under 19 yards per catch and 9 touchdowns. Brady Bowman moving up the list. He is now 3rd for the Shelby Whippets, 592 receiving yards on 29 catches. That's over 20 yards per catch and 6 touchdowns. Bryler Beamer of Seneca East drops from 3rd to 4th. He's now at 581 on 36 catches. Josiah Hirschberger of Loudonville still in the top 5 with 533 yards, just above Eli Snyder of River Valley, who's at 524. Holling Young of Hillsdale at number 7 with 518 yards. Now welcome in to the top 10 for the first time this year, and that is Nick Eister, the receiver from the Whippets, 473 yards on 27 catches, 17.5 yards per catch and 4 touchdowns. Parker Davis of Harding, 461 yards on 38 catches, and then River Valley's Luke Axline, still in the top 10 this week, 451 yards on 27 catches, 16.7 yards per catch, and 4 total touchdowns. So there are the passing leaders, there are the receiving leaders through Week 7 of the high school football season, but you have to run the ball to open up the pass. And some of these leaders are doing just that. Let's take a look at the rushing leaders through Week 7. Led by Mr. Blake Elliott, who crossed the 1,000-yard plateau in their defeat against Northmore on Friday night. He's at 1,044 yards on 164 carries, 8 touchdowns. Wyatt Denny also into the 1,000-yard club on 122 carries and 10 touchdowns. And Bogpin Miller is 4 yards away from being a 1,000-yard passer and rusher this season. He's on 95 carries, 10.48 yards per carry and 10 touchdowns, including a top play nominee where he took a fake punt, 85 yards to the house. Number 4, Blake Sipes, the quarterback from Fredericktown at 988 yards. Monroeville's Evan Benfer at 965 yards and 15 touchdowns. Colonel Crawford's Connor McMichael with a big win on Friday night over Seneca East, 937 rushing yards on 81 carries for 14 touchdowns. Eli Steen of Cary, 897. Winford's Anthony Evans, 868, so a lot of Northern 10 running backs right here in the middle. Shelby's Braden DeVito, also in the top 10 in both passing and rushing. 829 rushing yards, 16 total touchdowns for him. 30 total touchdowns altogether passing and rushing for Mr. Braden DeVito. Cannot wait. Next week, not this coming week, but next week, on Terry and Shelby, we could see a top 5 matchup in Division 4. That would be the state game of the week. It has to be the state game of the week because 2 amazing quarterbacks will be going at it, but they need to get wins this week to set that up. And speaking of Ontario, number 10, Mason Van Tilburg, 732 rushing yards on 11 touchdowns. So that is 1,728 rushing yards between Mason Van Tilburg and Bogpin Miller. So there are your top 10 rushers, also your top 10 passers and receivers. And like I said, if you see a spot that somebody should be in, it's probably because I don't have their stats yet. If you could send it to me right here, Travis at oh.report, I will make sure you are into the top 10 next week. And just that you have your stats, especially after week 10. Once we get to the final one, we'll tell you who the champion in the area is. So if you think your player deserves to be in that top 10, send me the stats, and I will make sure you have them for the stat leaders. But that'll do it for me. Go Guardians, I guess. I don't know. Go Penguins. We're kicking off tonight, but I will see you live and free, first off, on Thursday night, Centerburg Fredericktown for the KMAC Volleyball Championship, and then we got another fun-filled, action-packed Friday night as we kick off Week 8 of the high school football season. But for now, I'll see you later.